Would you believe me if I told you that there was a type of grass that can grow to be over 100 feet tall, and also that a form of that grass grows so fast that it can grow 2 inches taller every hour? Well, these are true facts, and the particular grass that I'm referring to is this one right here. It's bamboo. And I think a lot of people think about bamboo as maybe a shrub, or in the case of the 100-foot tall species, maybe even as trees. But they do belong to the grass family. And as for the species that grows 2 inches an hour, that is actually the fastest growing plant in the world. It's been observed in Japan to have grown 48 inches in a 24-hour period. So that's 1 inch every 30 minutes. I've also heard that it grows so fast you can hear it grow as it squeaks and whines as those canes elongate. So not only is it the fastest growing plant in the world, but probably also the loudest growing plant in the world. Well, bamboos are a very interesting group of plants, and I'd just like to share with you some of their unique characteristics and show you some of the different species and varieties we've got in our bamboo theme garden. The bamboos are an amazingly diverse and internationally important group of plants. I think it's just incredible the different ways that this plant is used. There are so many things that are made out of or fashioned out of bamboo. We've got furniture, eating utensils like chopsticks, musical instruments, toys, and the list just goes on and on. Well, bamboo is also a very strong and durable building or construction material. Would you believe that about 1 billion people worldwide live in homes made out of bamboo? There are construction companies in a lot of Asian countries that will use bamboo for their scaffolding whenever they're building tall, high-rise buildings. And sometimes you'll see this bamboo scaffolding rising to 30 stories or more high. It's just incredible. Bamboo is stronger than several types of wood, and one thing that I think is really amazing is that bamboo actually has a greater tensile strength than steel. There is a bridge over the Min River in China that is suspended from cables of twisted or braided bamboo, and that bridge has been in service for over 1,000 years. So it really is a durable material. One recent use of bamboo that is beginning to gain in popularity here in America is its use as a material for flooring in homes. Bamboo makes a beautiful, durable, long-lasting finished floor. Now, bamboo is similar to wood, but it doesn't have quite the same structure. It does contain lignin, one of the substances in the cell walls of our woody plants, but another element or substance that bamboo contains is silica. And of course, silica is a major component of sand grains and also used to make glass. The plant will take up the silica from the soil and it will deposit that silica in the stems and make them very hard and kind of give them that shiny luster that we see on some of the fresh new bamboo canes. The silica is also responsible for the bamboo canes splintering once they're snapped. Well, not only is bamboo used as a wonderful crafting, building, and construction material, but it's also edible. It's not only eaten by giant pandas in China, but people around the world also love it. I'm sure many of you have enjoyed stir-fried bamboo shoots in your favorite Asian cuisine. The next time you're having some, just think about the fact that you're eating something with a greater tensile strength than steel. Talk about your high-fiber food items. There are several species of bamboo native to all continents except for Europe and, of course, Antarctica. We even have a species of bamboo native right here in Oklahoma. That's right, the river cane, sometimes called giant cane, Arundinaria gigantea, is native to Oklahoma. We sometimes see it in thick stands that are sometimes referred to as the cane breaks in the low-lying watershed areas near creeks and rivers in about the eastern half of Oklahoma. It's the same material used to make the cane fishing poles. Well, when it comes to using bamboo in the landscape, there are a number of ways it can be utilized. Bamboo lends itself very well to providing an Asian look to any landscape or garden, and we've used it to pretty good effect here in our Japanese garden. Another way bamboo can be used is to have a small clump as an accent plant or a specimen plant in amongst other plants. You can also use it to hide a view, as it will form a dense screen. It'll also block out noise, say maybe from a busy street or something like that. And it also works well in containers. Now, the most important thing to be aware of before you plant any bamboo in the ground on your property is to know that it is very aggressive. Bamboo spreads by underground stems known as rhizomes. And we've got a rhizome here of one of our bamboo plants here at our studio, and this grew in just a few days. So if you're not careful, you could plant some of this on your property, and in a few years it could swallow your yard and maybe several of your neighbors, and have to be controlled. Now, you may have heard of the clumping bamboos or non-running bamboos, and you might be thinking, well, I'll just plant all clumping varieties in my garden. Well, there are several species of clumping bamboos, but unfortunately almost all of those are not winter hardy here in Oklahoma. It's too bad. Most of the running bamboos, or most of the bamboos that are available and hardy here in Oklahoma, are the running type bamboos. We had a barrel out in our arboretum for several years that had a running bamboo contained within it. It was set in the ground, and it worked great for many years, but then the barrel started to rust, the bamboo got away, and it went everywhere, and we had to take it out. I've also heard a story from a staff member at the Dallas Botanical Garden where they have an old home, an old pier and beam home on their site that they use as an office building, and it has a clump of bamboo nearby. The bamboo grew under the house, and because of the light coming in the windows, actually came up through the wooden floor into the living room. So it is an aggressive beast, so it has to be contained. The good news is these running type of bamboos can be contained out in the garden. We just have to provide some sort of barrier or root barricade. And one thing that works well is to take the same material that you would use to line a water garden. This is a 40 mil butyl rubber liner that we've used for our water garden. You see it's very thick. It takes quite a force to puncture this material, but we can dig a trench and insert this in the ground around a clump of bamboo, or do it beforehand and then plant would be better. It needs to be overlapped quite a distance, and most importantly, it needs to have a depth of at least 24 inches, and some sources will even say 30 to 36 inches for some of the larger bamboos. But when you're putting this in the ground around an area to plant bamboo, it's important to pack that soil against the inside. We don't want any air pockets, because once those roots or those rhizomes, if they were to hit an air pocket, they would go down and they could potentially get underneath it and start to swallow the garden. I like to use a piece of lawn edging up at the top of the liner just to kind of give it a little bit of reinforcement up at the surface of the soil. We could put it in here like this, and then this would be buried to about that depth. Now remember, the smaller the area of containment for your bamboo, the more often you'll have to go out, dig, lift the clump, and divide it to keep it from getting overcrowded. It's also important in your contained bamboo areas to check them about 2 or 3 times a year, make sure that none of the stems have jumped the fence or crept over the top edge and started to root in and spread in the garden. If you already have a stand of bamboo established on your property and you're wanting to control it, remember that bamboo is a grass. So any herbicide that is labeled for grasses would work best to take care of it. Things like Roundup and the herbicide Post, which is specifically formulated for grasses, works well. Now, as with any herbicide, it needs to be applied when the plants are actively growing. You wouldn't want to go out and spray your bamboo in the wintertime. Wait until it's actively growing, and you'll have better results if you get a lot of the herbicide on the leaves, not just the stems or the canes, but try to apply it to as many leaves as possible to control the bamboo. Well, hopefully a lot of this talk about the aggressive nature of bamboo hasn't scared you away or frightened you from wanting to use bamboo in your garden. If all else, you can grow bamboo in containers on your deck or patio. Bamboos do make good landscape plants if their roots are contained. They usually grow best out in full sun, so they have no problem with our heat, and some of them will also grow in quite a bit of shade. They are drought tolerant once they're established, but remember, if you've got them contained out in your landscape, it's kind of like they're in a pot or a container in the garden. They don't have that volume of soil, so you'll have to monitor their water needs and make sure they don't dry out. Well, the first species or bamboo that I want to show you here is this one, and this is one that you don't have to plant in a barrier in the ground. This is one of the clumping or non-running types of bamboo. This is the dragon's head bamboo. And it doesn't look as vigorous as some of the others in our garden, but that's only because it's been here for just a couple of months, whereas the others have been here about 2 years. This species is hardy here in Oklahoma. It comes from high elevations in western China, and this is actually one of the species that is eaten by the giant pandas. Right over here we have the golden bamboo, and it's a plant that has stems that will eventually turn yellow as they age. And you can see a little bit of yellowing here on this cane. But as these get older, they will get more yellow in that cane. This one is very hardy. It's hardy to about zone 6 here in Oklahoma, and works quite well. It's a fairly common bamboo in this area. Just to show you some of the diversity in the different bamboos, we've got the tall species right here, and then right down below here we've got one of the smallest bamboo species. This is a little Pleoblastus bamboo. This is the cultivar elegantissimus, and you can see that it's very dense, only gets to be about 3 inches tall. So this would make a nice ground cover. When I was showing you those barriers that you could make to contain the bamboo, you could do a large area with the barrier, enclose a large area, and then just kind of let this plant grow wild and cover up the area as a nice little ground cover. Right here you can see some of the leaves of some of these bamboos that are falling, and it's a good gardening practice to keep those leaves in place at the base of the plant. And the reason this is important is that it will help recycle the silica, and if these were raked up and carted away all the time, you would eventually deplete some of the silica in the area. So leaving the bamboo leaves on the ground at the base of the plants is a good idea. Now, if you had a ground cover like this, it would hide a lot of those leaves as they fall in and get covered up. Well, we showed you the golden bamboo with the golden stems right here. Right back in this corner, we've got another species of bamboo with colorful stems or canes. This is the black-stemmed bamboo. And you can definitely see how it gets its name. It has these black or dark purplish colored culms or stems. The black-stemmed bamboo is hardy to about zone 7. It gets to be about 10 to 15 feet tall in its native land. And if you look here, you can see that this cane doesn't have much of the dark coloring added to it yet, and that's because the black color will show up in about the second or the third season. Well, right up here is one of my favorite bamboos. This is the Hino genus, and I like this one because it has these broad leaves and it has just a beautiful variegation. This is a very striking variegated pattern in this bamboo. It also, as you can see here, has a nice height. This is only 2.5, 3 feet tall here in 2 years, and I think this bamboo would work very well in a large container on a deck or patio. Now, in our bamboo garden here, we planted these in methods that we knew we would not be leaving the garden here permanently. So we've got small containers, and we've got some containers that we normally wouldn't use out in the landscape. For instance, this bamboo is planted in a nursery pot, and if you know nursery pots, you'll know that they have to drain, so they have holes in the bottom. And right over here, you can see what's happened with our nice variegated bamboo. It's gotten out of the holes in the bottom of the container. As you can see here, we've got a nursery pot, has the holes for drainage, but the bamboo shoots, if you use a nursery pot, they're not going to be contained, they will escape. So don't plant your bamboo in a nursery pot. Right over here, we've got another low-growing variety of bamboo. This is known as the pygmy bamboo, and it's similar to the other dwarf species we had. This one's a little bit taller. This is probably 6 to 8 inches tall. Makes a very nice, dense ground cover. Another excellent bamboo to use as a ground cover. This has filled up this container that it's in nicely here in 2 years. Well, right back here we have the large-leafed bamboo. This one's also been a favorite to a lot of our garden visitors. And this one has the largest leaves of any bamboo in cultivation. These leaves are sometimes used in cooking where food is wrapped up in these large leaves. But I like the nice mounding shape and the nice height of the large leaf bamboo. Right back here, we have another favorite bamboo. This is the arrow bamboo, and as its name implies, in ancient Japan, the canes or the stems of this plant were used as weapons. They were used to make arrows. But I really like this one because it has that very distinctive Asian look to it. It's also got those larger, broader leaves. And this one currently is the most popular bamboo up in the Pacific Northwest. A lot of people are adding this one to their gardens. Right down here we have a tsuboi bamboo, and I like this one because it's sort of an intermediate height, taller than a ground cover, and a little bit shorter than what we would think of as maybe a shrub-shaped bamboo. But the tsuboi bamboo is from Japan, and it was actually named by a Japanese bamboo grower. Right over here we have another small variety that has nice variegation. This is the dwarf white spire bamboo, and you can see the very nice variegation on this dwarf bamboo. Another one that gets to be about 6 to 8 inches in height. Another running bamboo. All of these that we're showing, except the first one, are running, so they do have to be contained. But the dwarf white spire bamboo, I think, would work great in mixed containers with other plants, sort of spilling over the edge or adding this green and white filler to a mixed container. Right here we have a tall Phylostachys bamboo. The Phylostachys bamboos have grooves in their stems, but this is one that has attained the greatest height in our garden in 2 years here. Very nice bamboo. And a neat surprise we found just a little bit earlier is that we've got a nest. We've got a hummingbird nest in our tall Phylostachys species of bamboo right here. Well, the last bamboo I want to show you is down here on the end. And earlier we showed you the golden bamboo with its yellow stems. This one is even a brighter yellow. This is yellow groove bamboo. And just look at the sharp or the bright golden color of this plant. Of course, it is a Phylostachys. It has that groove or that little indentation in the cane and it gives us that very nice yellow color. This is a popular one, and this one's also quite hardy here in Oklahoma. Again, must be contained. So remember, bamboo is a grass. It makes a wonderful landscape plant. The clumping or non-running varieties are generally not winter hardy here in Oklahoma. Those running bamboos need to be contained with some sort of root barrier. Keep that in mind and enjoy growing this plant that holds such an importance worldwide. Well, on a closing note, I just want to let you know that it was with a cane fishing pole made from our native river cane that I caught the largest fish I ever caught in my life. A 7-pound largemouth bass I caught while fishing with my grandfather on Salisaw Creek. Well, we hope to catch you next week here again on Oklahoma Gardening.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.